Hello everyone. As I said a couple of weeks ago, this is Suicide Awareness Month and this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, so I thought I would do a series of videos covering a few different topics within that. Disclaimer, which I'm sure all of you know, as most of you, all of you, are my friends. I can only talk from my own experience or my own opinions. I am not remotely qualified to give any actual advice, so please nobody take this as advice. Also, you know the thing you do when you keep looking at yourself on a screen. I don't actually know where I'm meant to look, so there's potential that I'm not looking into any of you at any point. And all that noise in the background is because I live on a really busy road, so I never sleep. Okay, so the first topic that I wanted to approach over what will probably be 6 episodes is mental health within the gay community. This is something that I've never really spoken about before. In fact, generally speaking, my sexuality isn't really something that I discuss on an open forum very much, largely because it doesn't affect anyone, it's no one's business. But I think certainly in the last year or two, I've become far more a part of the gay community, and I think that it's kind of essential to cover this topic because people within the community are at a greater risk of mental health issues, particularly with self-harm, suicidal thoughts, and you can kind of understand why, really, when you are raised, whatever generation you're raised in, you are kind of raised that there is something not quite normal about whatever you're feeling, whether that's, through television or through your peers or through the news, or even just through laws, there's so many countries where gay marriage is still not legal. There are a lot of first world countries where it's only just become legal. How is that possible? So if you've been kind of shown things like that in the past, what you do, what you feel has been illegal, that's going to take its toll on your mental health for sure. For me, I know it certainly played a role in some of my issues that I had growing up. I came out when I was very young. I had not long turned 14, and it was one of those things where forever leading up to it, oh, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay, and then I'd come out as gay and then get, you're just saying this for attention. It's like, cool, fuck you, whatever. It's kind of, at that point I was the only gay in the village, certainly in my school. So it was pretty isolating. No one could really relate to you, and this is in 2000. So my representation on screen was Willow from Buffy and Will and Grace. One's a witch and the other's slapstick comedy. That's not a representation of me or who I was or who I ended up being. There was kind of nothing around, and the internet was kind of just becoming a thing. Fuck, I sound really old. I grew up in a pretty small town. We had one nightclub that closed down just after I went to university, and that was it. So it was not an ideal place to be exploring that side of your life, or to be coming to understand that side of your life. There was no one to explore it with, and so I ended up meeting someone by chance, and we were in a pretty private relationship for a very long time. Private enough that really only a couple of my friends met him in the years that we were seeing each other, and a few of his friends. met me. We just kind of very much done our own thing. And when I look at it retrospectively, a lot of that came from his self-loathing, his internal disgust to himself for feeling this way, for being gay, which is, yeah, it's really upsetting, but not uncommon. You know, I was probably, I'd probably been out for maybe 10 years before I felt comfortable going into gay bars, not completely shit-faced drunk. And I was probably when I moved to New Zealand, so I was 29 when I felt comfortable going to one on my own, or actually sparking up a conversation with another gay person. It wasn't something that I ever kind of had. And then I sort of would meet people who were friends of different ages, who had sort of come out more recently, who in a world where there's kind of a lot more representation everywhere, but every TV show has got a few gay characters, and they're not just stereotypes, they're not just tokens, they are real people that you can imagine hanging out with. And it just really opened my eyes to kind of what I'd been missing in terms of growing up away from that, and in terms of not really being comfortable with myself, or being angry at myself for not being normal. Because my first few experiences of having gay peers or going to gay bars, they weren't pleasant. It was, I don't know whether it was because we were younger and maybe we had the barriers up, or everyone was kind of in the same boat of just coming onto the scene, but I found it to be a particularly cliquey, bitchy, nasty, shallow place. It felt like being in a high school movie every time I went out, and I was a really big dude in my 20s. So that was a hang up in myself, particularly because this it seemed to be that for anyone to find you attractive, you had to be built like a stunt double, or be incredibly slim, incredibly well groomed, very tanned. And it wasn't until I really got into a conversation one night on a bench with some random who fit every bit of that image that I thought was the only thing anyone in that community found attractive, that they were like, they said to me, I wish I could, just come into the bar like you do and just kind of talk to everyone and just have a dance and not care. And they basically explained to me that they just never ate. They just constantly looked in the mirror, always felt like they'd gained muscle but not enough muscle, or they'd lost weight but not enough weight, and they were wearing, dyeing their hair to fit in with the way other people had done their hair, and they sort of were joining in these nasty, bitchy cliques because they felt that was the only way they could be included. And that was really sad for me, and was kind of a tipping point for me being a lot more comfortable within the community, because I realised that at some point or another, absolutely everyone within that has had to have their coming out, has had to have some form of rejection, some form of physical insecurities, insecurities based on their personality, based on being their true selves, which is something that is not exclusive to being gay, of course not. Like being true to yourself and knowing exactly who you are is something that really comes with time. I think I was probably 31 when I legitimately could say I am completely happy with who I am as a person, and it not be any kind of facade. 31, that's pretty old to say for the first time in your life that you are comfortable with yourself and that you're happy.